Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast.
We're breaking down chapter 187 today, Stalemate.
And what a title! Stalemate is the perfect word for it, because everyone is stuck. The rebels can't advance, the royal army can't stop the fighting, Sanji is locked in with Mr. 2, but Vivi is about to break the whole board.
She arrives at the palace with a plan so radical, it might be the only thing that can work. I'm talking a plan that involves blowing up her own home. If you want to make sure you're there when we see the fallout from that explosion, you should probably plant a little subscription seed with us. It'll bloom into a new episode in your feed every week.
Let's get into it. The chapter opens right back in the thick of Alubarna's chaos.
Yeah, we're with Koza and the rebel army, and they are just getting hammered. He's pushing forward, but one of his guys points out he's still hurt from what happened back in Nanohana. You remember, he took a bullet that was meant for Vivi, fired by a Baroque Works agent disguised as a royal soldier. The wound is literally the entire reason this war started.
And Koza's response is just ice cold. He says it doesn't matter anymore because they're on a battlefield. The time for personal pain is over. This is a man who has fully committed to the path of rebellion, for better or worse. He sees himself not as an individual, but as a symbol for a cause. His own life is secondary to the objective.
That's the mindset of a man who has accepted he might not walk away from this. He's operating on pure adrenaline and purpose. He just needs a horse. It's such a simple, desperate request in the middle of this massive war. He thinks if he can just get to the plaza, he can force King Cobra to surrender and end all of this. He genuinely believes that's the only path left.
It's a tragic example of how effectively Crocodile has manipulated him. Koza's goal is to stop the suffering, but his method is to escalate the conflict. He's so focused on the perceived source of the problem, the king, that he can't see the real enemy pulling the strings.
And that single-minded focus leads him right into a trap. He gets his horse, he starts his heroic charge, and he gets shot down immediately. The royal army's main force is dug in right there, and they were waiting for him. And it's not just any soldiers.
It's the kingdom's two strongest warriors, the head guards. It's the big guns. Chaka and Pell, the two head guards of the kingdom, are waiting for them. The two strongest fighters Arabasta has, the Jackal and the Falcon. We haven't seen them fight seriously yet, but we know they're Zoan users. These guys are the real deal. The rebellion's charge just slams into a brick wall.
This is the stalemate the title refers to. Koza's passion and the rebels' numbers can't break through the sheer power and strategy of the kingdom's protectors. Chaka and Pell represent these centuries of military tradition and loyalty that define the Nefertari kingdom. They are the embodiment of its strength.
It's such a hopeless visual. All that momentum, all that righteous anger, and it just stops dead. The panels show the rebels just getting cut down. You can feel Koza's desperation. He's so close to what he thinks is the answer, but he can't reach it. It's like watching a wave break against a cliff. All that energy just dissipating into nothing.
And you just know this is all part of Crocodile's plan. This is the symphony of destruction he composed. He's forcing the country to destroy itself, bleeding out its strongest fighters on both sides. Every rebel that falls is one less person to oppose him later. Every royal soldier that falls weakens the kingdom's defenses.
Exactly. He's just letting them grind each other down to nothing. He doesn't have to lift a finger. He's got the country in a chokehold, and it's squeezing its own throat. It's pure evil genius. He's not just a powerhouse. He's a master strategist. Meanwhile, we see Vivi running through the city, trying to get to that same plaza from a different angle.
She's immediately stopped by Royal Army soldiers. It's a tense moment. They don't recognize her first, just seeing a person running through the chaos, covered in dust and grime. They level their weapons and demand to know if she's a rebel.
The irony is just brutal. It's almost a perfect mirror of what happened in Nanohana that started the war. They're seconds away from attacking the very person they've sworn to protect. It shows how far gone everything is. The battle lines are so blurred that friend looks like foe. The fog of war is so thick you can't see a foot in front of your face.
But then she speaks. She doesn't panic or pull rank immediately. She calmly asks them to take her to Chaka. And in that moment of stillness, the moment they get a clear look at her face, it dawns on them. That's not just some girl. That's Princess Vivi.
And they snap right to attention. The change is instant. They go from hostile suspicion to absolute reverence. They immediately agree to escort her. It's a small moment, but it's so important. It proves her title, her lineage, still holds immense power in this chaos. It cuts through the confusion like a knife.
It's the one constant in a country that's tearing itself apart. The Nefertari name still commands respect. This goes back to the foundation of the world government. The Nefertari family were one of the 20 founding kings, but they were the only ones who refused to become celestial dragons and abandon their country. They chose to stay and rule among their people. That choice, centuries ago, forged a bond of trust and loyalty that even crocodile schemes can't entirely erase.
Whoa, that's right. So when those soldiers see her, they're not just seeing a princess. They're seeing the living symbol of that ancient promise. That's super heavy, and she knows it. That's the authority she's about to use.
From there, we cut to the South Block, and the atmosphere changes completely. From the tragic, large-scale war, we zoom in on a one-on-one duel.
It is on. Sanji versus Mr. 2, Bon Clay.
They crash into each other midair. It's not a punch or a block, it's a kick from Sanji against a kick from Mr. 2, and the impact is so immense it creates a shockwave, sending both of them flying backwards into opposite buildings.
The power in that first exchange is nuts. These guys are on another level. Mr. 2 is genuinely surprised that Sanji can stand up to his Okama Kenpo. This is our first real look at this fighting style, and it's on par with Sanji's black leg style right out of the gate. Bon Clay isn't just an officer agent because of his devil fruit. He's a top-tier martial artist.
It's a style built on ballet, a mixture of grace and overwhelming power. The names of his attacks, prima, andante, are all ballet terms. It's a fascinating contrast to Sanji's style, which is more direct, more impactful, like a battering ram made of dress shoes. Sanji's power comes from driving forward, while Bon Clay's seems to come from fluid spinning motions.
And Sanji is all business. He's not messing around. He knows he has to take this guy down fast so he can rejoin the others and help Vivi. He unleashes a barrage of kicks. Collier, épaule, poitrine. But Mr. 2 is blocking them all with his own kicks and swan-like movements. He's not just some goofy guy with a weird devil fruit. He can really fight.
Their big attacks clash next. Sanji's Mouton shot, a powerful forward-driving volley of kicks, against Mr. 2's Hakucho Arabesque, a graceful but equally powerful spinning kick. Again, it's a total deadlock. The panel just shows this explosion of force between their feet, and they both just get blasted into opposite sides of the street. It's a perfect stalemate.
This is where Bon Clay decides to switch it up. He says, okay, physical attacks aren't enough. Let's play some mind games. He decides to show Sanji the true danger of the Mene Mene no Mi, the clone fruit. He's going to attack Sanji's mind, not just his body.
He starts with what he calls the strangest face in the world.
And it's just his own face with Usopp's nose. It's so dumb, it's brilliant. It's such a perfect Oda gag in the middle of a serious fight. Sanji's reaction is perfect. He's just completely unimpressed. Like, what is this idiot doing?
It's such a classic Oda gag in the middle of a serious fight. He has this unique sense of humor where he'll build incredible tension and then just deflate it with a moment of pure, silly fun. It keeps you completely off balance.
For sure. But the games stop there. That was the warm-up act. Mr. 2 gets serious and transforms into Usopp completely. Not just the nose, the whole face, the whole body. He's banking on Sanji hesitating to attack a friend's face. It's a classic villain move, trying to use the hero's compassion against them.
And Sanji doesn't even flinch. He doesn't slow down. He doesn't pause. He just kicks him square in the jaw.
It's an incredible moment. Mr. 2 is on the ground, holding his face, crying these big crocodile tears, asking how he could attack his friend. And Sanji, standing over him, cool as a cucumber, gives one of the coldest, most meaningful lines in the series so far.
Purple made of heart.
Yes, that's it. That line is everything. He's saying a face is just a mask, a body is just a vessel. He knows who his friends are. He knows their spirit, their core, their heart. He would never be fooled by a cheap copy because he knows the real thing on a level that goes way beyond appearance.
It speaks volumes about the trust and the bond the Straw Hats have forged. It's not superficial. It's a bond built through shared experience, through life and death situations from East Blue to the Grand Line. Sanji isn't just the cook, he's one of the emotional anchors of the crew, and he understands them in a way an outsider like Mr. 2 never could. He knows Usopp's heart, so he knows that thing in front of him is not Usopp.
That is such a good way to put it. He's the emotional anchor. But even the strongest anchor has a breaking point. Mr. 2 is a performer, an actor. He just got a bad review for his Usopp impression, so he's switching roles. He says he understands Sanji's philosophy, and then he finds the one exception, the one loophole in that perfect creed.
He transforms into Nami.
And Sanji's entire world just stops. His brain completely short-circuits. The panel is amazing. The cool, confident fighter is gone, replaced by a love-struck moron with giant heart eyes. His cigarette droops, his body goes limp, he's completely compromised.
Mr. 2 tests it. He strikes a pose, a classic pin-up style pose, and he sees Sanji's ridiculous love face reaction. He calls him a fool, and in that moment, he's not wrong. He just found the one untouchable, unbeatable weakness in Sanji's psychological armor.
This is what makes Oda's fights so good. It's not just about who hits harder or who's faster. It's about philosophy, personality, and strategy. Mr. 2 just disarmed Sanji without landing a single blow. How is Sanji supposed to fight this? He can't. His own chivalry, his personal code that defines him, has been turned into a weapon against him.
He can kick Usopp's face all day because he knows Usopp is a man, a fighter, and that it's not really him anyway. But his absolute #1 principle is to never, ever harm a woman. We saw it on the Bharati with Pearl. He would rather die than kick a woman. And for him, even a perfect copy of Nami is enough to trigger that absolute unbreakable rule.
The fight just got 1,000 times harder for him. The stalemate is broken, and Sanji is on the losing end. He's been completely checkmated. And while he's dealing with that impossible dilemma, we cut back to the palace for the chapter's climax.
Vivi has arrived. She's escorted by the soldiers past the fighting, right up to the royal balcony. Chaka is there, overlooking the horrific battle below, and he's stunned to see her.
He's probably thinking, what is she doing here? This is the most dangerous place in the country right now. His first instinct as her guardian must be to get her to safety, but she didn't come for safety. She came with a purpose.
She looks him in the eye, and with a resolve we've never seen her before, she gives her command. She tells him to destroy the palace.
The shock on Chaka's face says everything. You can feel the record scratch in his brain. Destroy the palace? This is the home of the royal family for 800 years. It's the symbol of Arabasta's 1,000-year history. It's everything he has sworn his life and the life of his jackal fruit to protect.
And she's telling him to blow it up, to turn the symbol of his sacred duty into rubble. It's an unthinkable order.
Her logic is so sound, though, so heartbreakingly sound. She says Arabasta is a country for the people. The palace is just a building. It's a symbol, yes, but a symbol is meaningless if the people it represents are dead. If destroying it creates a big enough distraction, a loud enough shock, it might make everyone on both sides, rebel and royal, stop for just a second.
And 1 second is all she needs. 1 moment of silence in the deafening chaos. That's her window. In that moment, she believes she can project her voice and tell them the truth about Crocodile, about Baroque works, about everything.
Bro, this is such a massive moment for her character. This is the culmination of her entire journey. She's been fighting this whole arc to save her country, to protect her people. And here she realizes the only way to do that is to sacrifice the symbol of her own power, her own identity.
She's giving up her crown, her castle, her heritage, all for a chance to save the people. It brings us back to that Nefertari legacy. They chose not to be gods in the Holy Land. They chose their people over absolute power. Vivi is now making that same choice, but in the most literal and destructive way possible.
And Vivi is living that legacy to its absolute extreme. She's not just saying it, she's doing it.
She's saying the monarchy is nothing if the people are gone. The country is its citizens, not a castle. It's the ultimate expression of what it means to be a true ruler in the One Piece world. It's not about commanding people. It's about serving them.
It's the ultimate gamble. The stakes are impossibly high. If this works, she saves everyone. If it fails, she's destroyed a priceless piece of her country's history for nothing and lost the war. The weight of that decision resting on the shoulders of a teenage princess is just staggering.
That is a leader's choice, a true queen's choice. And that's where the chapter leaves us. Chaka just staring at her, this impossible command hanging in the air between them, with the sounds of his country tearing itself apart in the background. Super. That was just an incredible chapter ending.
It really was. The tension is at its absolute peak on every front.
It is. I honestly don't know how Sanji is going to get out of this situation with Mr. 2. I am completely stumped.
So, predictions for Chapter 188. What do you have?
Okay. Prediction 1. Chaka is going to agree to Vivi's plan. He's a man of duty, and his ultimate duty is to the princess. He'll give the order, they'll set the cannons or whatever, but right before they fire, Pell is going to swoop in and stop them. As the other head guard, he'll have an equal say, and he'll argue there's another way, a more surgical strike that doesn't involve leveling their own palace. It'll create a conflict between the two guardians.
A conflict between the two head guards, representing two different philosophies of protection. I could see that.
Prediction 2 for the Sanji fight. Sanji is going to get beat up for a bit, badly. He won't be able to attack or even properly defend himself against Nami's face. I think Mr. 2 is going to land a clean, heavy shot because Sanji hesitates to even block an attack coming from Nami's body. He's going to have to figure out a new way to fight entirely, maybe by closing his eyes and focusing on scent or sound instead of sight, forcing him to rely on his observation haki, even if he doesn't know what it's called yet.
A sensory battle, forcing him to evolve his fighting style mid-combat. That's interesting.
And my last prediction, we're going to see Crocodile's reaction to the palace's destruction. And he's not going to be worried. He's not even going to be angry. He's going to be amused. He'll see it as the royal family's pathetic, dramatic last gasp and use the ensuing chaos to make his final move towards the poneglyph in the royal tomb below. The explosion will be a dinner bell for him.
Okay, my turn. My first prediction concerns the palace as well, but the reaction to it. I think when the palace explodes, the rebel army won't see it as a noble sacrifice or a distraction. They'll interpret it as the royal family destroying evidence or admitting guilt, a final act of cowardly destruction. It will enrage them further and make the situation worse before Vivi has a chance to speak.
Ooh, that's dark. A total backfire. I could totally see that happening. The tragedy just keeps compounding.
Second, I think this fight is a deliberate showcase of Bon Clay's abilities for a future plot point. His ability to perfectly mimic someone, right down to their body shape and voice, is too useful to be a one-off gimmick for a single fight. I predict he will eventually use this to impersonate a Straw Hat, maybe even getting onto their ship for a short time to cause trouble from within. This fight is just establishing how dangerous and insidious that power can be.
An infiltration mission, an imposter among us. That would be a huge threat, man. Imagine him turning into you, Robin. No one would be able to tell.
And for my final prediction, Koza will be the key. When the palace falls, he won't be enraged like his men. He'll be confused. He has a personal history with Vivi and the royal family. He knows them. The act of them destroying their own home will be so illogical, so contrary to the narrative of a greedy monarchy he's been fed, that it will be the one thing that breaks through his brainwashing. He will be the first person on the rebel side to pause and actually try to understand what's happening. He will be the one to order his soldiers to stand down, giving Vivi the opening she needs.
Oh, that's dark. A total backfire. I could totally see that happening. The tragedy just keeps compounding.
We'll have to wait and see.
We will. That's all the time we have for this week. This arc is really heating up, and we are here for it.
Join us next time as we continue our journey through Alabasta. Thank you for listening to Inherited Dawn.